See what Honorable Maanzo has to say. Does Honorable Ruku have a point that sometimes this demonstration
not at all.
can be violent?
And unfortunately, you know, a lot of new members of parliament, and especially those who are not lawyers, when they come to the House, they have a lot of gusts, and you are seeing all manner of bills be proposed. It is simply over legislation. There are acts of parliament in place already dealing with it. And you see, for every law you make, you must be seeking to sort out some mischief. You want to make sure that a certain mischief is contained or is dealt with by the law. There is the penal code, which shows offences which can be, can come out of demonstrations. And then there is an act called the Public Order Act. What Honorable Ruku doesn't know is that under every act of parliament, there must be regulations. And what has been lacking are regulations under Public Order Act. I saw recently the Honorable Kidiki, the Minister for Interior, has attempted to make regulations. But when you make regulations, they must go through the committee of delegated legislation in the House, and there is, there are enabling legislations on how you make those regulations. So what has happened in the last, in the last regime, the last constitution, the Attorney General used to make regulations, and the regulations of this, which is talking about, under Public Order Act, came in some legal notice in the year 2000 by Honorable Amos Wako. After that, these regulations expire in 10 years, and they have to be reviewed by the House. So they expired a long time ago. The Ministers of Interior who have been there did not bother come up with new regulations. So all he's talking about, he should be drafting some regulations for the Honorable Kidiki so that they can come to the House and to deal with this. Article 37 is not one of, the Constitution states clearly which articles enabling legislation must be made by the House, or what amendments of existing laws you can make. So these laws do exist. It's a Public Order Act. Unfortunately, the Penal Code and the Public Order Act are very old acts. They are colonial acts. But they have gone through amendments over the years and can be amended even in an omnibus bill. There is always that miscellaneous amendment bill which comes into the House. That's what he needs to participate.
So you agree that an amendment has to be done?
Some amendments can be made to polish this, but for now, what is lacking are regulations. In those regulations of those days, you cannot make, we live in a global village, and we cannot make laws, just to sit here. There is the practice in the whole world. Yeah. And the practice is when people are allowed to demonstrate all over the world. That is from international law, from international conventions, they're there. But those demonstrations, they take place all over the world. And that's why our Constitution has given that right. Then what happens, it is regulated. You have regulations. What routes are you going to use? What time will it happen? And the police will also be there to check law and order. What is happening in Kenya, the mischief is trying to cure by coming up with this. He first of all wants to bring in dictatorship. Secondly, he wants to cure the possible trial of errant police officers by the ICC. And that's not going to get away through this sort of law he wants to make. And I'll be very surprised if this law is allowed by the lawyers in Parliament, including the Honorable Wetangula, to come even to the floor of the House. And even the President will sign it into law. And even after that, it has to come to Senate because it touches on the counties. Trust me, it will be killed somewhere if you go the way you are going. The best way to do is to make regulations for Honorable Kidiki, let them follow the right channel, and then we'll be able to deal with it. Otherwise, there's nothing. It's just hotter. Let me use this new word of Kenya. It must be very idle in the House. You just look for more serious things to do, to enact, to make sure that you help the country, but it's not trying to counter the human rights guaranteed all over the world. Let me just finish on this one. Recently, I was in France, and there was a strike by the airmen, the people who control the landing and taking off of planes. And what they did, they went on strike, and no planes could land, and the ones which had landed could not take off. And you see, they left a few people to divert planes into other airports other than the main airport in France. And after talks went on for 1 hour while we were on the runway, they were paid their dues, and they went back to work. And that's the effect of a strike. That's the effect of a demonstration. Yes. So we cannot kill human rights, which are guaranteed all over the world, to make Honorable Ruku and President Ruto happy. Yeah. Nothing of that sort is going to happen in this country. Okay. I cannot allow this law to go through the House.